attest to that. Like in the US, it's very easy to know where you're going. The roads are given numbers, like for example, 394 east, west, south, north, 169 south, north, Nathan Lane, for example. So it becomes so easy. Somebody can tell you, come all the way 169 south up to Nathan Lane, then you take a right or a left on Nathan Lane. So these things will help us, and for sure, it's okay to remember our heroes. We can name the names of our heroes who contributed immensely to our economy and our culture and heritage, but yet it's very important in our business today. Thank you. So I support.
Honorable Ndari.
Mr. Speaker, I don't want to take a lot of time, but I want to say you keep your word. Mr. Speaker, when we were in the House Business Committee, you promised my aunt, Honorable Goal, that once we have opened this session, Mr. Speaker, or once we come back from recess, our motion on the naming of our roads and streets will be the first item, Mr. Speaker, and you have done it. And thank you very much, because now my aunt will sleep well, and even my uncle will be happy, because, Mr. Speaker, our wish has been granted. Mr. Speaker, I don't have to say much, but a motion can now produce an act of this counter assembly, so that, Mr. Speaker, we do not misuse the powers which we shall be given of naming streets and even roads. We must now have an act which must come from the Department of Culture and Social Services, because I've heard the saying about policies. Let's have an act which will give us guidelines on how we are going to do the naming, because the naming will never end today. We shall die and leave this world here. The generations which will come, Mr. Speaker, later, will be using those guidelines to make sure they are naming our streets and even roads, Mr. Speaker. And I know it has not been done only in Kisii, because they have done it in Nakuru,